What's up guys, it's Scoopman5000 and today we're doing another action figure review, rolling right on here with the Venom series from Marvel Legends. Today we're taking a look at the two figures from Maximum Venom, and this is the Venomized versions of Miles Morales and Ghost Spider. And of course this continues on with the Venompool Build-A-Figure. We previously looked at Carnage, who comes with his head, and then also Venom from this wave, who doesn't come with any pieces. And I'm going to group these two together, and then tomorrow I'm going to finish it off with Phage and Morbius. I'm grouping them because in this case they do go together, but also I just can't wait to get this Venompool figure built, so I just want to get these out, grouped together, and we're going to finish this Build-A-Figure by the end of the week. So the boxes here, the only thing different with the previous figures is that we're getting the Maximum Venom logo other than the standard Venom comic logo. But you can see the nice big windows into the box, and these things are covered in Build-A-Figure pieces, especially Gwenom here. She's got the big torso, which takes up more space than she does. And then on Miles' side, we got the arm, and then really cool, some interchangeable hands. On the top, you get a Spider-Man Venomized logo, and here's what they look like on the back. You just get some info about the Build-A-Figure wave, a render, and then a read-up. So for Miles, it's when the Venom symbiote attaches to Miles Morales, he gains extreme powers. And then for Gwen, when the Venom symbiote attaches to Gwen Stacy, she gains extreme powers as Ghost Spider. So same bio, and I'm pretty sure if you get the upcoming Venomized Captain America, he's got the same bio as well. Here's both figures' barcodes on the bottom. And that covers packaging. So now we'll get to it and bust out these figures. We're going to look at Miles first, and we'll finish it off with Ghost Spider. And here's the Miles Morales figure out of the packaging, and this guy's real tiny. It's definitely a young Miles Morales figure, and I don't have any of the previous ones, so I'd imagine this is reuse from a previous Miles, just done with some new arms and a head sculpt. But maybe this is brand new. I guess let me know in the comments. We're going to look at him as if he's a brand new figure, because he is to me. For his accessories, it doesn't really come with anything, because the arms take up such space. So you're just getting the left arm of Deadpool, and I can't wait to get this Build-A-Figure done, because just looking at it here, it's kind of blowing me away. There's like a texture to it of Deadpool's suit that I wasn't expecting. There's some stitching detail, really awesome. And even the interchangeable hands is a nice touch. But going into Miles, Venomized Miles, that is, we'll start up at his head sculpt. So it's a Miles Morales Spider-Man mask, but then we just got the Venomized aspect to it with the exposed mouth and the kind of chaotic webs. And I'm not sure how well this is going to come across on the camera, but the plastic here is actually kind of a dark metallic blue is what I'd call it. It's very dark, it's almost grayish, but there's definitely a hint of blue in there. It isn't quite as extreme as Monster Venom, but you can see the similarity here in the colors. It's just a bit more muted, not quite as metallic as Monster Venom. But overall, it gives him a pretty good look on the shelf. He's going to stand out a little bit because he is kind of metallic. In the middle, you get the nice big red spider logo, and that carries over into the shoulders here, which has some really nice sculpt, the whole arms. That's what makes me think the middle of the body here is reused, but the arms definitely are brand new, because the veiny red webs here are sculpted in and then painted pretty nice. Goes down into the spider logo on the back, which is the smaller one. And definitely both arms here seem the same. Very small again. It's a very young version of Miles Morales this cartoon must be going off of. And then he's got these real big, clutching, venomized hands here. So it's the red hands. They got a little bit of paint on them to represent the suit, but they're done in those big symbiote claws. They're different on each side, so one's a bit more open, the other side, they're just a bit more closed, but they're still very open on the other side. Would have been nice maybe to just get alternate hands or something like that, just to add accessories to him, maybe some web effects. There's no plug-in spot, but maybe another tendril effect that we got with Carnage. But as it stands, it's just a pretty plain figure overall, just done with some nice detail here and there when they do add new sculpt. That goes down into the waist, and then the legs are totally plain, just done in that plastic. You see a bit of suit texture going on. And then another unique piece here is these big venomized feet here. So it's done with the blue of the suit, going into some red claws in the front. And they're nice and wide, but even still the figure does kind of have a hard time standing. I can kind of get it here, but he's going to fall down. But these feet, despite the size of them, you'd think it would stand pretty well, but there's just something a bit cheap about them. But they're a bit of a soft plastic, honestly. And something just don't seem right here, so you're gonna have to pose him pretty creatively to get him to stand nice. Going over his articulation, the head has a nice hinge, so he's looking all the way back. It's actually blocked by the jaw here, but you're getting all the movement you need. Ab crunch goes back that far, and it goes forward all the way. You get a swivel and a hinge at the shoulder, upper bicep cut, double jointed elbow, then you get a hinge and swivel at the wrist. Get a tight waist on here. Not the best splits for Miles. You got an upper thigh cut, double jointed knee, and then you get a hinge and an ankle rocker at these feet. And that covers Miles, so we'll go ahead now and do some comparisons. So here he is with the retro carded vintage Spider-Man, and then a Tom Holland Spider-Man. You can see that this Miles is even smaller than the Tom Holland figure. Here he is with the previous Monster Venom wave of Venom and Carnage. These are going to go a bit better with him because of the cartoony, simplistic aesthetic we got here. And then here he is with the movie Venom and the newer Carnage that we just took a look at, and you can see how much he's getting dwarfed by these two. And overall, that's going to do it for the Venomized Miles Morales. It's a good figure overall, very tiny, and it's going to look good next to all the other symbiotes on the shelf. But with him out of the way, we'll go on and move to Ghost Spider. And here's the Ghost Spider out of the packaging. Again, no accessories for her because you got to make room for all these Build-A-Figure pieces. You get a gigantic torso, and then you also do get, in a separate piece of plastic, you get the sheaths for Venompool's katanas, and those are removable, of course. But moving into the figure here, it's a very similar situation to Miles, a very simplified aesthetic here. This one's a lot more artistic, though, and a lot more creative, I think, than the Miles Morales design. Because with that one, what you do with Miles here, you give him big hands, big clawed feet, and then you give him the jaw, and some chaotic lines here. But for Ghost Spider here, this is a pretty interesting interpretation of what a Venom symbiote looks like. Because what you get here is the traditional Spider-Gwen hood. That's done up like the Venom symbiote with the teeth, and then it drapes down into this big, soft rubber piece for the tongue of Venom. But the inside is a more traditional Spider-Man face, and even the suit itself is done very simplified, like Miles Morales. You just get a bit of those spikes coming out here to represent the symbiote, and a bit of a chaotic design to the logo in the back of the jacket here. So the hood here sticks out a lot, and again, it's really cool here. It looks like the teeth of the Venom are represented at the top of the hood, and you can see even on this tongue, it's a nice big soft piece. It's going to get out of the way. It doesn't weigh a lot, but there's even some teeth sculpted on the tongue here, and some more sculpted detail at the bottom that isn't painted. A little bit at the top of the hood here, but all across, very cool, very chaotic, and dynamic as well. It looks pretty dynamic. It's attached to the head, so the head can still articulate, and on the inside you get a pretty clean standard spider design there with the eyeballs done in white with a red outline. This figure's also got a bluish tint to it, but it's a bit more so than the Miles Morales, but it's also less metallic because of that. And obviously the Spider-Gwen design, you get a bit of a jacket up here, and it's got some spikes that are half symbiote and half style, and then that spider logo goes to the back of the jacket. That jacket technically is removable, though I don't see why you'd want to do it, because it is a plain torso underneath. It's that smaller, more petite build, and this is probably reused from that Spider-Gwen we've gotten a few times. I've always meant to pick up that Spider-Verse 2-pack with Gwen and Miles, but I just never saw it. But maybe I'll go ahead and pick that up someday. But you can see the tongue follows all the way down into the body. It actually kind of doesn't really stick anywhere, but it wraps around this foot if you want to standard normal. The shoulder's plain, and then the forearms are unique sculpt again with that spike coming up to represent the Venom symbiote. And then the hands are those spiked hands. They're not quite as big as Scream's, because I'm pretty sure these were reused from Carnage. So these are unique smaller female hands for the Venom symbiote, which is nice. And then it's pretty much all plain for the rest of the figure. You can see the back here goes all the way down into the legs. And then the shoes here are pretty interesting. It's just kind of like the one-piece Spider-Man suit, but they're almost like spiked at the front with that blue design, and then there's a bit more chaotic web design to represent the symbiote. And I don't know if that actually helps or hurts her standing, because with Miles as well, the feet are kind of an issue. She doesn't really stand the greatest, so I'm gonna have to get her in some good poses. You can kind of stand her facing forward a bit, I guess. Going over her articulation, like I said, the hood is attached to the head, so it is decently limited. You're gonna get pretty much a full rotation. It is kind of blocked again by the sculpt here of that tongue. Just ripped off the head trying to do articulation. But it does have a hinge and a ball joint, so it can look back, not really that much without interfering with the sculpt. But the down really isn't terrible, I guess. The waist is on a ball joint like any female figure would be from Marvel Legends, and it's a decent enough ball joint. You got the shoulder hinge and swivel. You get a single jointed elbow, and then a wrist hinge and rotation. You get a decent splits on the figure, an upper thigh cut, double jointed knee. You get a boot cut, and then you get a hinge and a rocker at the boot. For comparison, we'll bring back those same two Spider-Man figures from before. You can see she's right about at height with Tom Holland. Bringing back the same classic symbiotes, as you'd expect, she's much shorter than those two. And then we'll bring back the Miles Morales, as well as the movie Venom. You can see movie Venom's like 2 times the size of these fools. But overall, love these Venom waves. I hope we get one every year. And that's going to cover the Miles and Ghost Spider Venomized figures. We're inching closer and closer to the Venompool Build-A-Figure, and every piece it seems like I'm opening, I'm getting more excited to build this guy. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned to see the Morbius and Phage review, and then we'll get to Venompool. If you missed out, we also posted Carnage and Venom already. You can go check those out. Got plenty more reviews on the way from some other properties as soon as we get this Venom figure done. As always, I'm going to leave it off with some figure photography, and you can see more of that on Instagram, scoopman_5000. But if you like these sort of reviews, you know where to stay right here, and I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.